Hi guys, Bugcat7 here. I'm back. I'm back at the Stonewall site at Mallory as per special request. And we're here in beautiful Sherman, Connecticut. And we're going to take another look at the Stonewall site here and go over all the things here, all the interesting things here, and some new stuff too. So stay tuned. Keep your eyes on my channel. I'm going to keep posting videos on this site, and we're going to take a little bit more in-depth look at it. Behind me here, what you see is the Sherman Playhouse and the Mallory Town Hall, which is the Sherman Town Hall here. And they're built on some very curious hills or mounds. And there are a bunch of very curious hills and mounds in this area. Now, geologists will tell us that these hills and mounds are probably what they call drumlins. That's what the geologists call these hills that are throughout the world. But and basically what a drumlin is the remnants left behind of glaciation. So a glacier would come into this area, and when it left, it would take away loose soil and leave these mounds. Okay, I mean, obviously you can look that up on Wikipedia and see what they are, but this is what geologists refer to as drumlins. So a curious thing about drumlins is that they also refer to them as mounds. So it would seem to me that being that is the case, that this would present some difficulty as to identifying something that was man-made or naturally made. If you're going to refer to it as a mound, well, there are man-made mounds and there's these drumlins that they refer to. But I think that they're misidentifying many of these drumlins, and I think that what they're saying are drumlins are often actually man-made mounds. Now, I don't know if these mounds here are drumlins, really drumlins, or they're man-made, but it's curious to me that in this area of Mallory and Sherman here, there's sort of a horseshoe-shaped bowl area here at the northernmost part of Candlewood Lake. And in this sort of, U-shaped bowl area here are these mounds. And on many of these mounds, we find large boulders and other rocks and things. And we're going to take a look at those things. But for right now, we're going to take a look at these very unusual hills over here that the Sherman Playhouse and that the Mallory Town Hall were built on. We're going to take a little bit of a look at that because it's anomalous. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to pick up my GoPro camera here right now, and we're going to take a walk around this hilly mound area over here and take a look at these things and see if we can see what they might really be. Okay? So follow me. I'm going to pick up the camera now, and we're going to take a walk around that hill area over there. Just grab my stuff. Okay, well, this is a very difficult area to get to. It's a remote area of Connecticut, a very rural area of Connecticut, and it was quite difficult to get here. There's no taxi service in here or anything like that, so at great expense I'm here. Okay, this is the IGA entrance to the Mallory Trail, and there's another entrance. We're going to take a look at that this week too. Okay, so let's take a look at this very unusual hill area. As you can see, this is a large hill over here, and then the topography sort of goes down over here, and you'll find that just in this area over here, in the rest of the areas around here, you don't really see this type of topography. Now here's the Mallory or Sherman Town Hall, built on this very strange hill. And there's the Sherman Playhouse right in front. Now we're gonna take a look around the back here, because to me, it's a little bit unusual that we find these hills and these buildings. And of course, the Sherman Playhouse used to be a church. So it seems hardly surprising to me, like in the old Roman style in many cultures around the world, that a church would be built on the top of this mound or hill or drumlin or whatever it is. Even if it is a drumlin, it could be that the archaic Native Americans used this area for spiritual purposes or gathering purposes, or I think this was the administrative area and spiritual area of this culture that was here. Now, we're on the back side of the Sherman Playhouse and the town hall. And as you can see throughout this area, there's a number of hills and mounds, some very curious looking mounds. And the Sherman graveyard here is also on this hilly area, It's on a major mound over here. And I would imagine there's not too much bedrock under there if you're digging graves in there. So I'm thinking that geologists would call these things drumlins, but I don't think that they are. And if you notice here too, this is Route 39 that goes through Sherman, Connecticut, in upstate Connecticut. And along this whole route of Route 39, along this whole roadway, there really isn't any hill area on the roadway for miles and miles and miles in either direction. This is the only place where the roadway actually goes up a slight hill and comes back down on the other side. So, you know, to me, you have the graveyard here. It doesn't make a lot of sense that they would, you know, make this roadway up and over this unless it was really a tremendous amount of work. And I think that's what it is. I mean, you see some bedrock over here. They may have dynamited that to put the roadway in. But as you can see down here, it slopes downward on this backside, you know, consistent with the hill area here. But this is the only place along this route that you'll find these curious hills here. So as I said, unless they dynamited this whole graveyard to get rid of the bedrock, obviously it's got to be loose soil. So I would imagine they would consider this a drumlin. Geologists would consider these drumlins. So I don't know if they are or aren't, but up in the Mallory site where the stone walls are from my original first couple of videos, there's more mounds in those areas, and we're going to take a look at those later on. But I just wanted to start off this little series of videos. We're looking at this area of Sherman with these curious hills and mounds and things over here, and how the roadway, Route 39 here, is basically, you know, pretty level throughout it, you know, for miles and miles and miles. But when it gets to this area here, there's a hill. So I don't know, I just find it very curious here. Again, I don't know if they're really drumlins or this was part of some bedrock here that they built these buildings on. The Sherman Playhouse, which was a church, was built on the hill over here, overlooking the town, the graveyard across the street over here up on the hill. So, you know, I mean, it's really consistent with, you know, what all the cultures of the past did. When they conquered some civilization, they would build their religious structures on right over them. So in a way, it seems like, you know, that's what it was. And you see across the street over here, you have another sort of little hill or mound over here. So, you know, the area, this particular area on the northernmost part of Candlewood Lake in Sherman, Connecticut, has these very strange mounds in this area, and I'm just curious as to why. Like, again, you know, I've traveled the whole Route 39, 37 up here, and nowhere is there ever a hill area like this along the roadway except for here in Sherman, right at this point where you see these very strange mounds and hills over here. Okay guys, so in any case, this is the first video